One of the biggest misconceptions about the state of Florida is that it is overpopulated. Many people come to me and say, Florida Maquis, things sound like they're going really well down there, but 22 million people in such a small area, is there any place left that's wild? Is there any place left where you can get away from people and be closer to nature? Well, the answer unequivocally is absolutely yes. There is. And I live one of those places. It's not too far from Daytona, not too far from St. Augustine, only about an hour from Orlando. And if you'd like to see proof of this, here are two pictures that I've taken in the last 24 hours right outside the house. Last night, I'm sure many of you saw on Instagram, on the left, had a little bit of a visitor here. Bobcat, probably 30, 35 pounds, right by the edge of the wood line. I'm guessing probably a female out on the hunt with cubs. They usually don't allow themselves to be seen in daylight. They can live right under your nose. You can walk by one in the woods and be 10 feet away and not know it's there. And then over on the right, a harmless little banded water snake just chilling out in the pool. But this is the case. We have wildlife everywhere. And I'll show you real quick where I'm at. This is Daytona. This is St. Augustine. I'm in this city right here called Palm Coast. And I actually live here in the neighborhoods. And as you can see, we have little patches and stretches of trees and wild areas intermingled with houses and water canals. And it leads to things like this. But it got me thinking about something else, and I'd like to give credit where credit is due. Another Palm Coast resident, someone who follows me here on YouTube, Trina Holiday, sent me a link to an article from the CDC from about a year ago. And it confirms something that I've talked about multiple times on this channel. Here's the article. Interim operational considerations for implementing the shielding approach to prevent the sniffles infections in humanitarian settings. What is the shielding approach? The shielding approach aims to reduce the number of severe sniffles cases by limiting contact between individuals at higher risk of developing severe disease and the general population. High-risk individuals would be temporarily relocated to safe or green zones established at the household, neighborhood, camp sector, or community level. Stop right there. Green zones. Who remembers the videos that I did talking about Colony? This series that was put out years ago, and then very strangely, they ended with a lot of unanswered questions. There was a map of all these regions. The aliens came, they dropped the walls down, and they divided people. See, those who collaborated were allowed to live in the green zone. And this is an actual screenshot of a map from the series, Green Zone. And then everybody else lived out here in the wards. When you do a deep dive into this particular sci-fi series, and I know that sounds like a strange thing to do for something that's just fiction, you start to see some very strange parallels. And the farther we get into the Sniffles event, it's starting to become very clear that someone knew something. Now, this is what they call the Los Angeles Colony Occupied Zone from the story. It's really telling the story of three different groups of people. The first group of people are the collaborators. The aliens come, they divide everybody up, and these people, in order to protect their power, go right along with it. And they are rewarded greatly, and they're allowed to live in the green zone. And their lives go on as normal as long as they do as instructed. They have guards at these gates, and only certain people are allowed in. Others are not. The other two groups of people sometimes go along for different reasons and sometimes rebel. But there's a common thread through all of it. And that's actually on CNN in the last, probably week or so. And I'm going to get to that once we go over these groups of people. Now, group of people, number one, that they use with the character Maddie. Amanda Righetti is the actress far right. She has a son that needs insulin, and it's been determined that medical conditions like that aren't really important to treat. So insulin starts becoming rarer and rarer, and unless you're in the green zone or you know somebody in the green zone, you can't get it. So Maddie decides to do what she needs to do to save her son, to save her child. She goes up to the green zone. She has this interview with this wealthy art collector woman, and she gets herself a job, and things seem like that they're turning up. But, of course, once that woman's husband meets her, things get a lot more complicated. And so given the choice between her son's insulin and her own principles or standards, she chooses her son's insulin, and she's forced to join a cult here on the right. So we have two groups of people, the collaborators trying to protect their power, and then people who are going along with it because they really have no other choice because of their kids. Now, Maddie's sister, some of you might recognize over here, Katie Bowman in the story. Sarah Wayne Callies, I'm sure a lot of you recognize her from The Walking Dead. She's married to Will Bowman, and they have a child. They have 3 children, actually. One is missing and was caught on the other side of the wall. So Will decides to collaborate in order to get in with the authority to try to find his kid. But once again, it's about the kids. They use the kids against the people. They don't agree with anything the authority's doing. But because the kids are involved, they make decisions that go against their principles. Now, the Sarah Wayne Callies character, Katie, uses the information that she gets through her husband to actually work with a resistance group. And this is where a lot of people think that in an event like this, they're going to be part of the Maquis, M-A-Q-U-I-S, the resistance fighters that they romanticize, based off of the French and Spanish Maquis that resisted the Germans in France and Spain in World War II. What a lot of people don't realize was they were hunted mercilessly. This romanticizing of the Maquis lifestyle is just incorrect. See, when they really tried to, they finally got their kid out from the other side of the wall, they decided to run and become part of a resistance group, and it ended up costing the life of that kid. Now, it's all about the kids. It's all about the children, right? See, even all the way back here, this first group, this guy here in the lower left, he's got a daughter he's trying to protect. Now, CNN. Kids are the victims of the new GOP bid to politicize the pandemic. You see, this is what they're trying to do in Florida. This is what they're trying to do in Florida. They're trying to use our kids against us. That's why we have the Parents' Bill of Rights. They're trying to say it's more important that we bow the knee to the government version of what health is than our own common sense tells us. Now, some might think I am taking the series way too literally, but the only reason the Florida Maquis exists at the level it does on YouTube is because of the series Colony. It was a very strange, coincidental confluence of events that happened in May of 2018. Prior to May of 2018, my channel wasn't that big. 15,000, 20,000 subscribers. I had named my channel the Florida Maquis way back in early 2017. In May of 2018, however, I was talking about different things regarding Venezuela and Antarctica and the way suggested content works on YouTube. I didn't understand at the time, but Season 3, Episode 1 of Colony rolled out that year, May 2, 2018, and the title was Maquis. And very shortly after that, my channel exploded and absolutely went crazy. Now, here's the tie-in. See these two guys right here? They are the ultimate Maquis. They can live and they can exist right under your nose. And you won't know they're there. The only reason I saw the little guy on the right is because he decided to swim out in the middle of my pool. He could have been anywhere around the edge of my pool, around the woods. Would have never seen him. Would have never seen him. And that bobcat, because it was out more than likely hunting to feed its kids, its cubs, allowed itself to be seen. And that's the tie-in. That's going to be the Achilles that they're going to go for. The kids. This idea of green zones. Separating one group of people that are doing what they're supposed to do, according to them, from others who aren't. This series, Colony, literally delineates this. And now I see why they canceled it, because it was getting too close to what they had planned. You have this group of people trying to protect their own power. You have other groups of people just trying to do the best they can to keep their loved ones alive. Others try to resist more, but when it comes to the kids, there's nothing they won't risk. And CNN is very cynically going along with this plan, trying to use people's kids against them, saying, we know better for your kids than you do. So make no mistake, it's coming, but thank you, Trina Holiday. Very much appreciate it. Good looking out. Excellent article. Once again, I'll give you the link to that down in the first pinned comment. It is CDC, Control and Prevention, interim operational considerations, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you the link. Talking about the shielding approach. So, anyway, God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.